how many courses I have the opportunity to facilitate, at the end, there's always at least one person who says more real world examples in the retrospective, and I've really taken that to heart over the years to bring no kidding for real, like here's the real Jira board, like here's how this really works in practice. And so I think there'll always be a certain amount of disconnect on this topic. And I think for us as instructors, as facilitators, it's really important to remember that nobody is going to really care how agile you are. They're going to care, like, how did you take this and apply it to tomorrow? And I think just that kind of can turn the corner to a conversation that says our learning and our facilitation needs to be durable. It needs to be repeatable. People can come back and go, oh yeah, that was the theory, and let me see in my context. And I think that that's a big piece of it, is making it available to come back to, not just a one and done thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well, Mike, that the idea of being able to get back to the instructor or the expert's content is pretty critical, right? I think the challenge with all training is how to make it applicable in my daily work. It's sort of the goal, right? It's the holy grail of training on, teaching from the back of the room and giving experiential, engagements and things of that sort, but it also ends when the training ends. And so I do think that finding ways that makes that content available, and I think we even have other topics, the YouTubeification and those ideas of the flow of work, are going to be where this needs to head and continue to move.
Yeah. As you were talking this, you guys know me and my stupid metaphors, but one just came to mind. I for a good chunk of my life, I've been training like martial arts, and I recently kind of got back into it. And, I think there was a bit of unrealistic expectations when it comes to training, right? It's almost if I walked into my gym and I was like, they were showing us a technique, and I was like, whoa, what if the guy grabbed my arm and then punched me versus punched me then grabbed my arm? It's like, we're not going to be able to like give you every possible permutation of situation that could come up in your environment and give you this flow chart with how to deal with it. Like, no training will ever be able to do that. What we're trying to do is to teach you how to steer, right? We're not giving you an instruction manual for like to follow step by step. We're trying to give you the tools that you need to draw from. And then your job as a professional is to figure out how to tweak and tailor and adjust those things for your environment. But I do think the criticism that I heard, I think, is somewhat valid, in that, like, if there's just a huge chasm between what you're being trained on and the environment you work in, sometimes it's too much to bridge that. And I think that's where the comment came from. Greg.
Well, you just triggered another thought, and we've heard it also. A lot of the training packs so much content into that training, you can't possibly remember it all. And so maybe the notion is the YouTubeification. It's the smaller pieces and more consumable when needed model, perhaps, is where you get this to become or feel more practical in that work experience. But to your point, you can't address all things. What we're trying to do is build foundations or fundamentals or the basics or the building blocks on which you're going to have to apply them to your scenario. So in your martial arts scenario, the real world situation is going to be different every time. But you've got these fundamental moves, techniques, ideas, processes that you can apply and bring to bear. So yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.